Hello everyone, today is Tuesday, November 24th, 2020. My name is Evan. Welcome back to another midweek stock market analysis video. Before we kick things off, I do want to remind everyone once again, we do have our annual sale going on right now, Black Friday sale. If you head to the website, you'll see this pop up here in the bottom right. You can click that link. It'll bring you to the main sales page, trading systems, TC2000 scans, our TR150 watch list. Everything is on sale. If you've been waiting, if you have been waiting for that discount, now is the time. So check it out now when you head to the website. Now, let's jump into today's action. It was a strong session out there today. You can see across the board, everything was green, firmly in the green, 2% to the upside here for the Russell 2000. That was the standout leader, sort of extending its lead to the upside. But everything else worked as well today. Dow Jones, SPY, and Qs all up 1.5%. If we look over the 5-day change numbers, you can see again, Russell 2000 is the standout, but the Dow Jones, SPY, Qs all positive there by nearly 1%. All the major indices are above those key simple moving averages. And if we go down into the sectors here that are helping drive this rally, energy continues to be on fire. So do financials and materials. Those round out the top three here. And it's really energy, which is screaming ahead of basically everything else. On the downside, we do have things in the red here. So over the past 5 days, real estate, which got to the top of its range. We highlighted that as a potential sort of rotational area in our past videos. That breakout never got going, and it is our underperformer here over the past 5 days. Healthcare is number 2, utilities in the 3rd slot. If we look at major markets, crude oil up almost 7%, emerging markets up almost 2%, and international markets up almost 2% as well. On the downside, silver, VIX, which is volatility, and gold are our biggest underperformers. We're going to talk about all of those in just a moment. So let's get into the charts here. Look at some TC2000 trading software here. We've got our equity market grid showing smart trend filters, which are the green, yellow, red dots on all of these charts. They measure trend through price and volume. And we have price itself is the white dashed lines you see on all of these charts. So if we look here at the weekly time frame, everything continues to be in a healthy uptrend, a buy signal, if you will, on the long-term chart. So nothing has changed there. If we go down to the daily chart, everything as well in buy signals, in buy zones. All of these markets have basically been printing bullish trends here and kind of buy the breakouts, buy the dips, whatever you want to call it, for basically the past 2 weeks. Everything kind of transitioned up about 2 weeks ago. So if you're following this type of trend model here, life is looking pretty good for you today and over the past couple of weeks. The Nasdaq was the last to turn up here. So that only occurred Friday on the 13th. But you can see it had certainly a nice day today, and it is trying to break out from that near-term trading range. So let's take a look at some of the closer sort of candlestick analysis here, and we look at the S&P 500. You know, one of our themes from last weekend's video was basically that things were getting tight. There were some tight ranges out there. We had really just a kind of volume contraction and a little bit of volatility contraction last week, where things were basically going sideways, trading in some tight ranges, and the weight of the evidence was skewed to the bullish side, but we obviously wanted to pay attention to, any type of range expansion coming into this week. And we're getting that answer basically today. We did get range expansion across the board, and it was to the upside. So we saw bullish breakouts. We saw bullish resolve out of those consolidation patterns. So if we look here at the S&P 500, last week, this one wasn't as quiet as some of the other markets, but, it had this 3-day tight right here. It kind of checked back to this little prior area in here around 35.50. And then you can see today it kind of exploded to the upside 1.5%. That's a new all-time closing high here for the S&P 500. So very bullish, new all-time highs, and basically resolving this range up. So going forward now, there's obviously no overhead supply well, I guess technically we have the highs here from the 9th of November, would be some overhead supply around 36.46. But prior to that, no major kind of trading open high low to worry about. And on the downside, we've got basically, we can use last week's lows. So we can use around this 35.50 area. You could use around 35.80, which was the breakout zone. You could use today's lows, which is an open kind of gap that basically, is a gap and go type of day today. So all of those kind of reference points to manage risk against, to know when the momentum is kind of shifting out. Those are basically the levels you can use as your guide sort of going forward. But basically getting a breakout here, looking awfully strong for the S&P 500. If we go to the IWM, this of course here is what is just been remarkable here over this month of November. I think I saw the stats kind of circling around Twitter that this was going to go down if it closes up here at these levels. I think this goes down is the biggest monthly gain for the Russell 2000. Don't totally quote me on that. I could be butchering it, but it's a pretty strong month. It's definitely in the top sort of percentile. Of course, the month's not over yet, so hopefully I didn't jinx it, but so far so good here for the Russell. We had this trend line drawn last time, right? This was a little spot we were watching here, basically as this broke this slope, and then it went sideways right here. This was exactly kind of the trading range that we were keying off of on Friday of last week. If I could dial it back, there it was. So very, very tight, orderly trading range. This was sort of what we were looking at here, and then expecting or looking for that volatility expansion out of this range. And we certainly did get it, and it came to the upside because we got the breakout yesterday, more follow through today. The Russell 2000's clearly extended here in the short term. It's had one heck of a move here, and it's a bit long in the tooth, but obviously if you're participating, if you're managing risk, trailing stops, whatever it is, controlling that position size, then good job on you because you are certainly profiting through this rally. So going forward here for the Russell, again, I wouldn't be surprised to see some type of consolidation or see some type of slowdown here. Ultimately, we've got this upper level you can use now. So the breakout level, basically the lows from Monday, around 178 or so. That's the very, very upper level momentum. If you start breaking below 175, you start getting a little more technical damage and you start breaking the trend line. That's how you can sort of manage risk on that instrument. If we go to Nasdaq 100, so Nasdaq 100 here has been the laggard, continues to be the laggard, but did play some catch up today, or at least kind of keeping pace. It was up 1.4%. And again, we talk about tight ranges that we were looking at on Friday. Well, you basically have another one right here, and it looks like it's trying to resolve here to the upside. So this is where, if you wanted to be a contrarian, if you wanted to be a little sneaky or try and short the market or look for the bearish evidence, you're seeing those signs here in the Nasdaq 100, and arguably you could still make the case that this controlling bar right here is still the controlling bar that is needs to be negated. So in other words, we have not broken out here in the Qs. We're breaking out of this very short-term range. So if we can get follow through, break over 297, take out the November highs, the October highs, negate this big bearish engulfing bar, then suddenly you're in business here in the Qs. That seems like the path of least resistance right now. That seems like what is going to happen here in the next couple of days. We'll obviously have to see, if that actually gets going. If we start to lose this rally, if we fall back into this consolidation, and more importantly, if we start breaking down below 289, then that changes things. And then you can get certainly put on your bear suit here, or look to play for some downside action. But with the candle that took place here today, breaking out to the upside, does look pretty good for the bull case in the Nasdaq 100. That was the weakest case of everything, and certainly something we can continue to pay attention to. So that's it. That's the roundup there on the major markets. Let's go to some of the other markets we follow here. So if we look at volatility, you can see still on a sell signal. I do want to talk about this specifically with some candlestick analysis. Go down to a daily chart. You can see it trading down all the way to 2179. That is a very low level that we haven't seen much of for this year. You can see TLT did print a buy signal here on Friday of last week. It's starting to pull back though. It had a 1% down day today. So already this is being challenged here. This has been in a downtrend for a while. If you go to the weekly chart, in fact, this has been in a sell signal here on the long-term time frame since the 16th of October. So since mid-October, basically been this model here saying stay away from treasuries. If we go down to the daily chart, we tried to get above it. We did get above it and print a buy signal on Friday, and that's already under sort of challenge, under scrutiny. So we'll have to see if the bulls can keep the TLT up here. It's looking a little dicey, but we'll see how it finishes out the week. If we go to commodities here, you can see GLD getting a breakdown this week. And remember, we printed a sell signal yesterday on this on the weekly time frame here. So we talked about kind of the significance there. First time we went bearish on gold last week was the first time since late 2019. You can see you got a pretty rough kind of follow through couple of days here this week so far. If you've been following the daily chart, this was in a sell signal since the 10th. So kind of no new news here. You're just sort of accelerating to the downside and kind of paying off in that respect. Silver here on the daily printing a sell signal. Oil continuing to rally there to the upside. So let's look at a couple more charts here before we wrap up. In fact, let's just look at gold, gold and silver. So you can see gold today, heavy volume day. It was down 1.5%. That's a big move for gold, and really sort of kind of leaving this sideways chop in the dust. So it sank below that level. It broke down. It's oversold here in the short term. So, you know, some type of bounce back, of course, that's all kind of table stakes. But the fact is the technicals are just getting more and more increasingly bearish here. So you're going to need to see a good turnaround here, price volume, big snapback here, start to get back above some of these prior levels or put in some type of meaningful bottom. Right now just continues to look a little bit rough there. And for silver, which was holding up, but this is now also starting to roll over, and all this consolidation that we've been in for the past 2 months certainly becomes in jeopardy here if this continues to sink lower. So you can be a little careful now in the metals on a more intermediate term basis. And that's certainly, you know, in some respect, not new news if you've been following the shorter term signals. Now, if we go to some of the things that are working, energy just continues to work and really just scream to the upside here. I do think we were pretty early on this call or this turnaround. I think we caught energy and calling it sort of a rotational trade here, or area to be, you know, and that just continues to work. It's certainly here extended in the short term, but that weekly chart is looking mighty pretty here. Big volume coming in, higher low kind of at work here, ripping above this consolidation. In the short term, it's obviously a big chase. Longer term, you know, it depends on your time frame, but you know, energy certainly getting that love and has been quite beaten down for a long period of time. Financials also continuing to rally here. I have just basically liked financials just generally here less than kind of everything else. It clearly is working right now. So this rotational trade is continuing to take off here. You know, it still isn't super exciting in my eyes. But it's working, and the squeeze is on, and you know, it can easily continue to squeeze here and work into year end. Some open gaps back here from February, could easily get back up to the all-time highs. But financials there got that momentum and is continuing. XLY is one we talked about. So this is discretionary. We talked about this and just how tight this got here. So again, this is one of the ones from Friday where we talked about these real tight ranges here. And you had this basically happening here in discretionary, looking for that volatility expansion. It's coming to the upside here. And this is kind of emerging from a longer term consolidation. So new all-time closing high discretionary looks pretty good. And even, again, we talked about the Qs, the sort of beaten up areas of the market starting to break out a little bit later than everything else. Same thing goes for sort of tech. Again, tech is kind of where we were most suspect or critical of, saying like this just needs to really prove itself, and there are other things that have been working, and that's still the case, but it certainly put in kind of a better looking session today. And if it gets some more follow through, starts clearing over 123, 124 or so, it starts to look, even better. So that's it. That is really the roundup for this week. Of course, markets are closed on Thursday. I believe we got an early close on Friday as well. So for the Thanksgiving holiday, hope everyone has a wonderful holiday, some time away from markets. And don't forget, if you are looking for some deals this holiday season, head to the website, take a look at the sales that we have for sale. If you have any questions, use the contact page on the website. And I think that's it. So thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in as always. And we'll see you back here tomorrow for some trade ideas during the market session. Have a great night.